careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your hosts. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
What it be, World Factual Opinions Podcast, Season 4, Episode 3. I am entitling this one Rope-a-Dope, Big John.
Yes, sir.
You know why? We paying homage #1 to the champ, as
Yes, sir.
February is always the anniversary of 1964 when he got Sonny Liston to quit. He was known as Cassius Marcellus Clay. And young, handsome 22-year-old man became heavyweight champ of the world. So if you haven't seen, please log on to the IG and Facebook pages. I've been posting clips and footage of the champ leading up to the bout against Sonny Liston when he won the heavyweight title for the first time, basically antagonizing him. So I got a few more that I'm going to post, but it's also called Rope-a-Dope this episode, man, because I know, all of us have had a bunch of stuff going on, man. And even though I don't like being in that position, as Benny the Butcher would say, it seems like I'm Ali, man, because I fight better with my back on the rope. Just when you think you're teeing off on me, I got something for you.
And that's life, man. Rolling with the punches is all it's about, man.
Absolutely.
That's all it's about, man.
So, of course, your host, I am Pharaoh, checking in with the Brown Bruce Wayne. As you all notice, we are without Will West, the best Nate, at least temporarily. He may pop in at some point. He has the link to join at any time. I wanted to save this for when Nate was here.
Right. If he jump in, we'll bring you back, rock him back around.
Okay, because I was gonna go ahead and do it, but no, seriously, we have a ton of things to talk about. As usual, a lot has happened since the last time we were actually on the air together. Now, the question I have for you, Big John, is how in the hell does the NBA fix All-Star Weekend?
The game? I don't know, man. Because
I'm talking about the whole weekend, because the slam dunk contest was the most horrible I've ever seen.
Okay, slam dunk contest can only be saved if they get the big name guys to get involved. Maybe they have to put a little money involved with it, or a little bit more money for the winner. I don't mind mixing, the younger guys with the stars, but at least make it more of a round robin. They cut down the participants, which kind of made it kind of whack, because now it's kind of like rushed and short-lived, and you don't really get the dynamic.
Well, your boy Jaylen Brown was in it, established All-Star.
Yeah, but as as other people pointed out, he's more of a game and a power dunker. He's not really a creative finesse guy. He's not really a hang time guy. He'll catch a couple bodies, but he ain't Vince or Tracy or nobody like that. So it's really kind of a different ball game for him. I mean,
well, I've remarked about that for years. The fact that the slam dunk contest has changed. It's like it's more condensed for TV. Now you have 4 dunkers as opposed to the 10 or 12 that you used to have. It seems rushed. Years ago they did the whole campaign where it used to be the Sprite Rising Star slam dunk contest, where they were trying to push the underrated and young guys as opposed to letting the big time names like the Vince Carters and the people that always carried the dunk contest, the Jordans, the Dominiques, of yesteryear. So there's a lot that goes into it. I still think we're missing out on some creativity. It's just become more gimmicky. Now, from a competitive standpoint, I don't know how you fix the game itself, because these are cats just not wanting to play. There was an old Kobe video that was posted recently where he was talking about like fans want to come see the best pickup game in the world, which is what the All-Star game is supposed to be. And he was talking about how cats compete harder in open gym at UCLA when nobody's around than they do in the All-Star game. Just a product of this current generation. But I mean, what do you think? Like, why is this happening?
It's a mixture of things, and I don't want to be disrespectful to any of the gentlemen that are participating in the All-Star game, but like Pop said as a joke, everybody's punks. They sissified. They don't want to get embarrassed. They don't want their bottom line affected. They don't want to be hurt. And also, I've seen like a couple reports of players saying, nobody really wants to play that week. It's a break for them. They want to rest, this, and that. But it's like when you got a guy like Kobe or Michael Jordan that never let the fans down and never wanted to, not give the people what they wanted to see when they came out to play him, it's different. Like you said, it's a different generation. And now they're more worried about, their likes or their shares or their bottom lines or their image or their platforms that they ain't really trying to get out there and compete.
Or not twisting an ankle or something like that.
Right,
Now,
right.
I had to come aboard the modern era and understand why the Pro Bowl had to be changed and basically dismantled. I get that, especially with us being football guys. I
Mhm.
understand. I still don't like it, but I understand.
But going back to a
That's
point that going back to a point that you made though, even with the dunk contest, man, it's kind of the how the game has changed. Like when we were kids, like watching the dunk contest was an event. I don't care where you was, like, oh, the dunk contest, come on, I gotta get home. I gotta watch it. Like you said, it was participants. But now everybody's going to shooter. Now the 3-point contest is what people want to see. It's different now. Like, we still watch 3-point contest because we were fans of sport. But like you got your popcorn ready for the dunk contest because you ain't never know what you was gonna see.
but
So
but see, to a certain extent, I still think it could be that way
yeah,
because it wasn't all that long ago. I mean, it was some years now, but we talked
yeah,
about this off the air. You had Aaron Gordon and Zach
yeah,
Levine
yeah,
totally turn out,
yeah,
two dunk contests
yeah.
and didn't regurgitate anything that had already been done by anybody and the dunk contest. So I still think there are guys out there, and sometimes, to quote Kenny Smith, sometimes all you need is the game. You don't need the name, but you have to find the right people. It seems like sometimes they just let whoever wants to sign up for the dunk contest in there, and it's like you can't do that. You putting out a bad product
Yeah, for
at
sure.
this point.
For sure.
Bronny, never got in the dunk contest. Even though he's more of a game dunker, we talked about. I still say had he done it and continued that lineage of people like Dominique, Michael, Vince, Kobe, participating in the dunk contest, maybe it would have been a nudge for some of these younger guys to say, "Oh, nah, Bron did it. I want to show my stuff."
Oh,
But
for sure.
when the
For sure.
game's biggest star skips out on it, too, it never
Yeah.
competes. It kind of just sets the tone for everybody else. And I'm not blaming Bron. I'm just saying, like, it'd be real easy if I was a player to be like, "Well, Bron ain't even do it. Why should I,
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
doing it?"
Yeah. I mean, when it's easier to follow the face of the league. He's been the face of the league for the past 15, 20 years. So it's like, if he doesn't do it, it actually plays a part. But like we had a conversation off the air. I think the last, other than the Gordon and Levine one, the last couple guys that made it exciting was Blake Griffin and Howard, and those guys made it fun because they were still big name guys at the time and they were involved in it. But I think after that, until we had the Zach Levine and Gordon spurt, it was still kind of whack. So but yeah, it's easy, it's much easier not to follow when you don't have that leader, you don't have that person like, all right, man, we're gonna get out here, we're gonna do this, we're gonna get the fans what they want. And like you said, even though LeBron is a game dunker, somebody that athletic, he can come up with something. Now he may not win, but he can come up with something.
Yeah.
Even him and D Wade in the layup line doing it. That he's more than capable of doing it. So
Man, he showed off at Bronny's high school game,
right,
throwing it
right.
off the backboard to
Oh
himself.
yeah.
I'm like, Bron, you could have been in it, man. But what? So, I mean, the dunk contest is one thing. I still think that's about choosing the right people.
Mm-hmm.
All-Star game seems to be just a mentality at this point
Yeah.
that's missing as far as this current group of people playing in the NBA. And like you said, it's no disrespect to any of them, but it's like, how do you not want to play in this
Yeah.
game? And you can't. I mean, they've come up with the in-season tournament now to try to get these guys to play the early months of the season competitively. They had the where you had to win by a certain amount in the All-Star game to get people to play harder as far as the players. They took that away. They had, captains, picking teams. Now they went back to the East and West thing. It's just, I just don't get it. And maybe because I'm, not a hooper, but I'm a hoop fan. I just don't get, like, what are y'all worried about? I'm not saying basketball is not a contact sport, but it's like, what are you worried about, man? That Paul George stuff is so few, far, and in between. as far as somebody getting hurt dramatically out there, like it's got to be what you said. Cats worried about getting embarrassed.
Yeah, and it's like I never want to question somebody's will to play the game, but it's obvious, like it's on display. Like they're more like it's more of a Harlem Globetrotter game than it is an actual competitive game. Like they don't really want to go at each other, especially growing up watching the guys we watched. Now, was they going super hard? No, but they were still being competitive. Like it's
Shout
not
out
the
to
same.
ESPN for stealing my post.
Right. And did you see at the end of the game how, and I've never seen him act like that before, but did you see how disappointed Commissioner Silver was after the game? Like, well, y'all scored the most points, so like he was visibly disappointed in the game.
Because he knows like his product sucks.
Right.
When it comes to the All-Star game.
Right.
And he's trying to do everything he can, including the in-season tournament, to spice things up. But see, and I never say this because I'm always siding with the players, but it's like, how do you entice guys who are being paid quite handsomely, to do what they should want to already do and are being paid to do? That's why I wasn't a fan of the in-season tournament. Like, so I got to pay you an extra $500,000 for you to give a damn the first 2 months of the season.
Right. I really didn't understand that. Like, I'm not a hooper. I'm not, as in depth as basketball as most people. But yeah, I didn't understand that. I really didn't. And yeah, man.
Cam said the only way they would play hard is to put money on it. Man, but we tried that, and I thought that was a mixed bag as far as the in-season tournament. Like, I'm questioning whether Cats really cared about that, to be honest.
At this point, with basketball contracts, and I'm not saying they're the same, but almost being close to baseball contracts, I don't think the money is going to affect them, because a lot of them all-star guys are making 100-something million a year almost. I mean, not a year, per contract. So I don't think that's going to really change anything.
Well, when people like MJ say it, they get, called being a hater or, these old cats, blah, blah, blah. But like you said, I think part of the problem is they're tossing them the bag too much and too early on, before cats establish themselves, before they earn anything. And it's like, all right, I already got it. I've already got my brand. Why do I need to go out there and enhance anything?
And I think it's also, I hate to sound like an old head and get off my line, but it's also the internal stuff that you have. If you have a whole bunch of guys like a John Morant that want to prove, oh, I'm better than you, or hell, even though I know he kind of caught up in the mixture, but even Giannis is like that. He wants to prove that he's better than whoever. But you got to have the whole consensus feel that way. If you don't want to come out there
like that, Joel Embiid is another one that likes to compete.
Yeah.
Some of the guys closer to us in age, the Brons, the Steph Currys, of course, they came up in that era competing. But I remember Bron talking about his first All-Star game out there in Denver in 2005, and, all the guys that were in it, and the Kobe's and the Iversons and stuff. And KG, he did it in an explicit way. Kevin Garnett recently talked about that. I forgot which one of the platforms he was on, but he was talking about how they didn't even want to shake hands. Like, I'm coming at you. Like, it was a different vibe, back then. I don't know how we get back to it, but these cats are playing real soft out here. They started off playing some defense, but then it went back to a layup line, and
right. Like I said,
we got to do something about the dunk contest, bro, because that was garbage.
Yeah, and I think the last year I watched it was the year Bronson put on them boots and tried to dunk, and that was terrible. So I ain't really paid attention since then, honestly. But that needs to be fixed.
You didn't miss much, man.
Yeah, but like you said, man, it doesn't matter whether it's no name guys mixed in with the big time superstars. You just got to find the guys that's athletic enough to do it and also want to do it.
Yeah. So before we move on from basketball, since the last time we were on the air, my main man, Kobe Bean Bryant, got his statue finally out in front of Crypto.com arena. It's the pose that was selected was actually Kobe. It was after he got his 81-point performance. So,
Right.
you know me as a lifelong Lakers fan, and you know Kobe Bryant being my favorite player all the time. I pictured that ceremony being a lot different than it really was.
Right.
Obviously,
Right.
wish he was there, but I mean it was a no brainer. So I had to at least acknowledge
For
Kobe
sure.
getting his statue out there.
For sure. Right.
Now
Yeah.
moving on to our sport, Big John.
Yes, sir.
Seems like football never ends now, college or pro. Really, there is no off season now.
Man, look,
But I
it's
do,
never off season.
yeah, I do want to talk about pro before we even mention college. So we were wrong. All of us picked the 49ers to win the
Yeah,
Super Bowl. I still feel like it was another scenario where they kind of pissed the game, you know, away. They could have
they
won that
did.
game very
Yeah,
easily.
yeah,
What I will give Kyle Shanahan this time is I don't think from a schematic standpoint, you know, because he stuck with the run basically. I mean, you know, they threw when they had to, but he didn't abandon it. I don't think he tried to reinvent the wheel. Even that last drive, they were trying to run it, you know, as much as you know possible, but it just didn't
right.
work out. El DeBarge um, got him another one, aka Kermit the Frog. So that's three Super Bowls by the age of 28.
Yeah, man.
Whether you like him or not, I don't think anybody doubts that you know Patrick Mahomes is the alpha um, QB of the NFL right now, especially as far as age and
Right,
ability standpoint. So, with that said, we're kind of moving on to the draft, and it seems
right.
like one of the biggest topics right now is the Chicago Bears own the #1 draft pick
Mm-hmm.
right now. So they're trying to decide what to do. Much of
Mm-hmm.
that talk centers around um, a young man that I will admit that I'm somewhat biased about, but
Mm-hmm.
it really doesn't have as much to do with where he went to school, which is I know what people are going to try to put off on me, as much as me realizing and knowing that this kid has ability.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation we're talking about is whether the Bears are going to keep the #1 draft pick, draft former Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams from USC, and we'll get to that in a second. What what we think about him, um, which would mean they're going to trade Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justin Fields did make a lot of strides last year and improve as their GM did say in Chicago. I feel like from the start, though, he's been put in a no-win situation in Chicago. He's had at least three different offensive coordinators, I believe two different head coaches in his 3 or 4 years there, which is really setting your quarterback up to fail. And I still feel like he's risen above that. Bears
Mm-hmm.
fans chanted his name after the last game of the season and made it apparent that they wanted to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've called Justin Fields the second greatest quarterback ever at the Ohio State University. Some people want to argue that, whatever. It's just my list, only behind the great Troy Smith. But I think the Bears will be totally foolish to trade Justin Fields. I mean, there's plenty of players that they can draft. How about going and get him a legit #1 weapon like Marvin Harrison Jr. per se,
Mm-hmm.
in the draft? He could become the first #1 overall wide receiver taken since Keyshawn Johnson way back in '96.
Mm-hmm.
And not too many people would argue that. But if
Right.
you were the Bears, John, what would you do in this scenario?
Okay. I would keep him, but here's the thing. Even if you did get rid of him or trade him or get something back for him, it has to be a culture change in Chicago. Just like, to their, in-season rivals with the Lions. The Lions had to go through a whole new culture shock, culture change for them to actually start winning. It don't matter who you draft. If you take Justin Fields and send him somewhere else and draft Caleb Williams or draft Drake May or draft whoever, if you still are putting the same product out there, it doesn't matter. And you're going to mess up another young man's career. Just like we always joke about, Chicago, Washington, sometimes Arizona being a death trap for quarterbacks.
Quarterback graveyards.
That's what they are. And until you change the culture and until you can figure out what you're going to do and your identity and how you're going to win and how you're going to put people around your quarterback, it's going to be the same thing. Because even the perfect example of Justin Fields, and this person I'm about to name, I feel like Justin Fields was throwing better than him in college. But Justin Fields would be like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts progressed and got better, but they had to put the right people around him in order for him to do that. And if you look at both their college careers, now Jalen Hurts got it right, once he got older and once he got to Oklahoma. Justin Fields was already doing that at Old State. Now, true enough, he had the weapons around him, and so did Jalen Hurts at Alabama and Oklahoma, but he progressed, is my point. So if he would have got to the league and he would have had stable coaching, stable framework to get better, it wouldn't be a debate. So
there's a lot of
go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a lot of scenarios that could play out, and a lot of people talked about where would be a best fit for Justin Fields. If personally, forget the Bears, what would be best for Justin, Fields, or where would he want to go? They keep bringing up this one scenario, and I can't lie and say that it wouldn't probably be ideal, but I damn sure don't want to see it.
I already know what you're about to say.
They keep talking about sending him to Allegheny County in Pittsburgh, PA. And I Lord knows I don't want to see that because I've had to spend so much time over the years feeling uncomfortable watching my Buckeyes, whether it's Super Bowl MVP, Santonio Holmes, Big Cam Hayward, Ryan Shazier, all these cats that put in work at Ohio State. Will Allen, used to play there. And it's tough because it's like I can't root for you. I really can't. But
right.
I can't root against you because you put in work in my state university, but I hate seeing it. And then your Bengals got to play them twice a year.
Right.
So, but there's a few other scenarios. I think the Raiders train has sailed. I don't think he'll end up there, but I think he could easily beat out any quarterback on Oakland's roster, including Jimmy G. Give it a fair shot. Depending on what the Jets do with Aaron Rodgers at this point, I still think had the Jets drafted Justin Fields like they were supposed to, and clearly the second best quarterback in that draft, they would be head and shoulders above where they are right now, and they wouldn't even have had to make the Aaron Rodgers trade.
Yeah, the Jets, I don't know, even though defense is great, they have some of the right things in framework, but I don't know. The Raiders might be a good look if they can keep Jacobs, if they can keep Adams happy, if they can, keep adding to what they got on offense and kind of fix that defense a little bit. I mean, Crosby is a dog, but, it's few far in between. But, yeah, I don't know. We're going to see.
Another one I've heard is potentially landing spot is New England for Justin Fields. I don't like that one as much. Yeah, see, because you're making the same face I did.
I don't like that. I don't like it. And not because they're in a rebuild. Like, yeah, they got a couple bright spots on that, kind of no-name defense they had, and they got a couple decent running backs, but other than that, it's not really. He's going to a bad situation to a bad situation, and I'm not, and that's taking nothing away from the head coach because I want him to do well, and with the Patriots, but
we're gonna see what Gerard Mayo does, and I guess we can go ahead and give a shout out to Mr. Kraft for, being willing to hire one of his former players and a guy that stuck around that organization for years and no previous head coaching experience, but saying, hey, this is my guy. A lot of times when that happens, it can go either way. But I seem to remember another organization doing the same thing back in 2007. The Pittsburgh Steelers hired a guy that had never had any head coaching experience, and there were some other names that people probably would have went with, but the Rooney family said, no, this is my guy.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I heard about him actually. What do you feel about Atlanta? I heard Atlanta wanted Atlanta. And the crazy thing about Atlanta, they got Bijan, they got Pitts at tight end, they got a young up and coming receiver. Atlanta may not be a bad
I
spot.
probably like that more than any of the scenarios, to be
Right.
honest. They may have to consider giving up Pitts, or I think probably a one. If it's Atlanta, you would ask them for a one. Cause see the going rate right now, and I got a bet with a coworker right now about whether Justin Fields, if he is traded, is going for a one or a two.
Mhm.
Um, if I'm the Bears and I ultimately do decide to do this, and I'm glad you brought that back up because I want to speak on Caleb Williams.
Mhm.
I'm not giving Justin Fields up for anything less than a one.
Yeah.
Now I can see if you get to draft day and times it's getting hard on the boulevard and nobody's biting for real, maybe going on and getting him for a high two, giving him up. I should say. But other than that, I think whoever gets Justin Fields is going to be tickled pink with,
Yeah.
what they have, particularly if it's a stable organization. But did you hear Merrill Hodge
Hmm.
talk about Caleb Williams? Did you
Yeah.
did you see that?
Yeah. And not to be funny, I kind of agree with him. And I don't want to. And I before this young man gets in the league, I do not want to shoot holes in his career. And I pray he does well because I want every young man that gets drafted to do well.
Yeah,
But I don't see it. I don't see it. He's did great. He's won a Heisman. He doesn't really have too many marquee wins. He lost to the same team 3 times in a row after you've been ranked high. You're small in stature. I know that doesn't really matter these days, but you're small in stature.
well, it mattered with Bryce Young this year.
Yeah, but Bryce Young also went to a death trap. We gonna see if they get some stuff around him, what he gonna do, but that's we gonna see. But yeah, it don't look good for him. And then it's like you got all and the way he talks, and I'm glad you got the bravado and the confidence in yourself. I want shares of whatever team I play for. Okay, like let's win the game first. Let's get you in there. Let's do all that first. But I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I just don't
And
see
for
it.
the audience and those who are tuned in now or do tune in later, what Big John is speaking of, or who he's speaking of, is former Heisman Trophy winner quarterback at USC, Caleb Williams.
Mhm.
And we're referring to former NFL player Merrill Hodge. Basically, he went
Call him a
in.
bus. He
Yeah,
called
he
him a
went
bus.
in. Okay, he basically stamped him as a do not,
Right.
draft, or at least don't draft with the expectations of, as he said specifically, he's not a Patrick Mahomes, not even close. He
Right.
said. Now, I do think he went a notch too far, but I understand what Merrill Hodge was saying, and I actually used to like him as an analyst on ESPN back in the day, so he does know his stuff. Um, but basically, all he's trying to say is he doesn't see it like Big John said. Like he's not that guy. He's not a guy that's going to lift your franchise to that next level, make him a championship team. Like you have to have enough pieces around him. To be honest, his game kind of reminds me of Kyler Murray,
Mhm.
to the T. Not just because of their stature and size being very similar, but Caleb Williams started at Oklahoma also before transferring to USC. So he played under the same head coach and Lincoln Riley that he did. So it's the same system. I
Right.
mean, Kyler Murray's had, what would you call it, moderate success in the
Yeah.
league at this point.
When he had all which quarterback is a very to be a good quarterback is very dependable on a whole lot of variables. And when Kyler Murray had the variables around him, he did well. Like you said, he had moderate to well success. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um
So like I said, I'm kind of on that train where it's like, man, I don't see it. He's coming in asking for shares of teams and saying I don't want to be drafted by the Bears or whatever. And like you said, man, you couldn't even beat Utah in your college career. What are we talking about, man? And
right.
to be honest, let's just throw it all the way out there because I'm not making this stuff up. You can go back. If Ryan Day doesn't take the ball out of CJ Stroud's hand in 2022, Buckeyes win that game. CJ Stroud wins the Heisman Trophy. He's probably the number one overall pick of his draft. And anybody that were poking holes, and this is a great segue into CJ Stroud, I want to acknowledge CJ Strizzle for winning NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, Big John, you know why that's important? Because that makes 6 of the last 8 years that an Ohio State Buckeye has won Offensive or Defensive Rookie of the Year in the NFL. Now, I know people might hate that and don't want to hear that, but, facts are facts. You can like whoever you want, root against whoever you want. I ain't making this stuff up. Go look at it. The school that's produced the most first-round draft picks all time in football history. Just saying, Big John.
Man, look, I'm happy for CJ Stroud, man. I've been supporting him even when Buckeye fans didn't, and that ain't easy for me to do. But
But you got to acknowledge that other part too, though, because they're developed here, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely acknowledge that, man. But it's like you said, man. I'm sorry to backtrack, but going back to what you said about Merhar saying he's no Patrick Mahomes, I'm tired of people saying that because only person that knew Patrick Mahomes was your boy. Was Louis Riddick. Nobody knew he was what he was. They even pulled a video, tape of Chris Carter kind of saying, these air raid Big 12 quarterbacks ain't where it's at. It's been bust. And I'm like, okay, but let the young man come and play. And he proved Patrick Mahomes who he is. And Andy Reid helped. But you can't keep
tremendously.
Doing that. We can't keep doing that. Now, I don't see it for Caleb Williams, but he may come out and shock me. I'm not saying it's a lot of guys that didn't have stellar college careers that came out and did damage in the league.
Maybe, but like you said, if he goes to Chicago and they keep that same defense first mentality that they've had since their existence, since being founded in the 1930s by George Halas, then what?
I don't even care about you being defense first. That's fine, but you still have to groom a quarterback and groom an offense. It's a lot. It's been a lot of.
They never had an offense outside of Walter Payton. Even the year they made it with Lubby, like you made it with Rex Grossman. It's not an offensive organization, man.
Yeah,
I think the best offense they had really was that year with Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall.
Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, and the running back. Well, it wasn't what was his name? Not Foster.
Was it Forte? Matt Forte?
Matt Forte, yeah. And even then, and when they did have that offense, the defense was terrible. So like,
well, they made it one game away from the Super Bowl before you got Big BJ Raji. Picked it off and did the booty dance in the
right.
One of the greatest plays in NFL history.
For sure.
So, but there's a lot that's going to happen in pro football, and we'll wait to see the draft and how things shake out for the Bears. I just want to be on record saying I think they're making a huge mistake if they get rid of Justin Fields. But, if they think Caleb Williams is the future, they'll make that trade, do what they need to do to position themselves and draft Caleb Williams #1 and figure the rest out afterwards. But as far as other headlines, let's talk about our Cincinnati Bengals here. A lot of local people, all they want to talk about is the Bengals. I talk about the whole gambit, but it is time to spend some time on our Bengals here. So, big story this offseason right now, and I posted it earlier, is the status of Tee Higgins.
Right.
Now, Bengals fans aren't going to want to hear this because a lot of people have asked me, like, man, are we going to keep Tee Higgins? Are we going to find a way? The answer is no. What I'm going to tell you is that he's going to be franchise tagged this year, which means he'll be back for one more year. He'll make anywhere from around $18 to $22 million for this 1 year. And his agent, who we don't have a lot of success in dealing with other clients, including Jesse Bates, is going to get Tee Higgins the bag after this next season. All you can do is pray and hope that, T, and I have no doubt that he will, continues to be a professional, and is locked in from start to finish. I know Jesse Bates made comments during that last year that he wasn't really happy or thrilled to be playing under the franchise tag, and it affected his play a little bit early on before he locked in down the stretch. Definitely hope that's not the case with T, because we're going to be losing some other people. There's speculation right now on what they're going to do with Joe Mixon. Are they going to bring him back for the last year of his deal? Don't quite understand why, because I think even if it didn't show in yards per, carry or attempts, I thought Joe looked really good this year. I thought he ran with less hesitation and was completely locked in. He took his pay cut. You've probably seen the last of Tyler Boyd in a Bengals uniform. And that, my friends, is going to hurt.
Yep.
Just like when I said that losing Jesse Bates and Von Bell was not something that was going to be easily replaced. I'm telling you right now, when they can key in a little bit more on Uno and Tee Higgins, it's going to make a difference.
And Arrowhead is interested in Boyd. And that ain't good either. But yeah. But like wide receiver, like we talked about, is always one of the positions like defensive line where everybody helps everybody. If I have to spend most of my time working with Uno and working with Higgins, somebody's going to get off. And sometimes it's Tyler Boyd. Sometimes that helps the other two out too as well. So yeah, it's going to hurt.
Well, they're going to depend on the guy, Andre Yoshivas, or, whatever his name is. We got Chuck Jones from Purdue, who, had some problems with injuries after taking that punt return back to the crib. I think it was against Baltimore early in the year. Mm-hmm. None of them are Tyler Boyd, though. Let's just keep it a buck on that.
So I don't know if they can get him, but I know you probably heard this because we always keep our ear. What they talk about drafting that boy from Georgia, Brock Bowers. How you feel about that? I don't think he's gonna be available, but
that's the key. I wouldn't be upset if they did it, honestly, but I don't think that he lasts to the Bengals, pick. Some people have him slated to draft an offensive lineman again, and I've said this on record, and I really hate, calling for anybody's job or anything like that, but something has to happen as far as the adjustments or the overall scheme of Bengals offensive line coach Frank Pollard at this point, because, to bring in a Ted Karras, to bring in my man Alex Kappa, to bring in Orlando Brown, making the biggest splash, last year. And you can't tell me that all these guys can't play or whatever. Like, something needs to be changed as far as the scheme. So if they draft Brock Bowers and he's there, hey, I'm great. I think that'll take some pressure off of Joe and give him his little Kelsey-like safety blanket, which is probably the only thing that he's been missing. Now, Burrow's made a couple tight ends some money, whether it's, what's my man that went to Carolina last year that was here?
Right. Yeah, I know.
1 year was it Ertz?
Yeah.
I can't. And then CJ Uzama, they think about cutting him up there in New York because they gave him a little bit more bag than he probably is deserving of at this point.
That whole Jets experiment for this year was a wash because the captain of the ship went down, everything crumbled. So I'm pretty sure if they had your boy Discount Double Check, he would have made Osama look like an all-star. So I'm pretty sure he would have been fine.
Double Check.
He would have been fine.
But there's a lot of questions, though, not just the status of Tee Higgins, which, like I said, I'd be willing to bet any amount of money they're going to franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, him. But there are other, members of the Bengals organization that may not, be back. I don't know how many Bengals fans will be crazy about having Jonah Williams, back. But you got to look at that right tackle spot if he leaves in free agency, which he probably will, because he didn't want to make the switch to right tackle to begin with. I've kind of said he's one of the weakest links on the offensive line. I didn't think he was that athletic coming out of Alabama to begin with when people were trying to make him into a left tackle, and it's kind of showed on a number of occasions. So we don't know what the Bengals are going to look like, but one of the things that's also irritated me on the national media circuit as far as sports is now you're starting to see a lot of these people come around and say, well, who's the biggest threat to the Patrick Mahomes dynasty right now? And who's the answer that they keep saying? Now, I said this before the year started, but saying it the last couple years, the media wants it to be Josh Allen so bad, but it's not.
Yeah,
I heard Stephen A. say it. I heard Skip say it. A healthy Joe Burrow is 5-1 against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. It's not
Okay,
a problem for him.
let's start at the beginning. When he first got to the Chiefs, it was Herbert. They wanted Herbert. They wanted him and Herbert to go at it. Herbert and the Chargers organization fell through. Now it's Allen. Allen keeps self-destructing. It's Burrow. It definitely is Burrow. And I don't know when they're gonna realize that or when they're gonna get that man his credit, but it's Burrow. But Big Trust had his chance. Ravens pissed down their leg. And I want, like I said, I wanted him just to do it, like just to, because I didn't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. I'm not a hater.
It's hard for me to say I was rooting for the Ravens, but I was wishing Big Trust well. Yeah. And I thought this was his year, actually, to silence the critics, to do everything that he wanted to do. He did win his MVP again, you know.
He silenced the critics, man, but like you said, the 49ers didn't deviate from their game plan, but the Ravens definitely deviated from who they are and their identity. They didn't. If they would have stuck to it, yeah, they had a couple mistakes and penalties.
I was going to say, when you got Zay Flowers diving over the end zone, fumbling.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that last pick that Big Trust threw, that was out of frustration. First of all, you don't throw into 3-man coverage, bro. Like, you was tripping. He was just trying to make something happen. He was frustrated. He just threw the ball up, hoping his big tight end could come down with it. But
yeah, you know, they kind of blew their opportunity. Now I hope and wish him well, except for when he plays against the Bengals, you know, twice a year. But I'm starting to wonder with Lamar Jackson, is he kind of in that CP3 space right now? Is he going to become the lovable loser at some point?
I don't think he is, man. I don't think with how humble he is and how hard he works, I don't think he's going to allow that to happen. Like this year, you can tell, bro, he was locked in. It wasn't no plan. You know, he was being more of a leader. He was actually getting it done. I just think, you know, the luck of the draw with this year, they just didn't play their game. But getting back to what you're saying, man, it's Burrow, man. We know it's Burrow. It's been him, but like you said, they got to keep him upright. They got to keep him healthy. And now, as we was alluding to with the last part of our conversation, you got to keep the team around him, because if that don't happen, that ain't gonna work either. Because like I said, for the past couple of years, like I said, that it was 2 teams that were made to beat the Chiefs, and it was the Bills and us. The Bills ain't did it, and the Bengals have. So
yeah, well, the Bills can't beat us. So
yeah, right.
Well, let me ask you, because this has been another, you know, topic of conversation. Do you feel like the Bengals missed their window of opportunity?
It ain't all the way closed, but it's kind of peaking. It's kind of getting there. And I'm saying that because they're going to have to pull what the Rams did. When the Rams made it to the Super Bowl with Goff, and they had Gurley, and they had all the same guys. And I'm not saying Goff was a bad player, because he proved that he was good this year. But they made changes. They brought in different guys. They brought in, you know, people to help them win. The Bengals are going to have to do that. They're going to have to reset, because if they let the reset happen naturally, and they try to just hurry up and rush and figure it out, it's going to fall in their face. So they got an opportunity to not let the window close, but they have to keep it open. They have to make moves. They have to be decisive. They have to draft well, and they have to keep putting the team around Burrow for that to happen.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a little worried. Now, I know Joe came out, you know, year before last and said the window is always open as long as I'm here. Mm-hmm. Sounds good, Joe. And I don't have no doubt that you will be the one to hold up your end of the bargain as long as you can physically compete. But I don't know, because, you know, they got decisions to make even on people like DJ Reader.
Yeah. And he's older. He's up there, and he keeps getting injuries, and a big man getting knee injuries and leg injuries. It hurts. You know. And like you said,
I just remember watching him play since he's got here, though. And that is probably one of the most underrated yet significant signings in Cincinnati Bengals history. DJ Reader. As far as changing the culture, and when he decides you ain't running the ball, you ain't running the ball. Facts.
But like you said, alluding to the wide receivers being a defensive lineman, everybody helps everybody. When we had DJ Reader, Ogunjobi was a Pro Bowler. Ogunjobi's not there no more. Now, you know, BJ Hill looks like a Pro Bowler. We still got the, pass rushers on the outside. So everybody on that defensive line is helping each other. So
Yeah, it's just going to be a decision, like I said, the management's going to have to make and look at and say, well, you're 29 years old. So you're approaching, that 30 wall. And, like you said, the significant lower body injuries that he's had, that's going to come up in negotiations too.
mm-hmm.
And then from DJ Reader's point of view, he's going to fall back on the tape and what he's put out there and say, hey, look, man, this is what I produced and done while here. So this is probably my last contract of my career. I want my money.
Oh, for sure. For
sure. So it's going to become very tense, negotiations for a lot of players. Even that I want to play with Joe Burrow thing, which was hot for a while. And I'm not saying that it's not still out there, because there are players that do want to play, with and for Joe Burrow. But like you said, the Bengals are going to have to go above and beyond to not let this thing crumble in the meantime. So that is the task at hand.
Yeah.
So, and I was hoping young Nate would come on here. Doesn't look like we're going to have Nate this episode based on the text that I got a while ago. But so we are going to talk a little boxing. I want to bring up the fact that another super fight was made in Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Now, I'm not falling for the Ryan Garcia bravado this time like I did when he fought Tank. I'm not saying that it's not still a winnable fight for him, because I believe it is. But yeah, he gonna have to show me. And on stage pushing Devin Haney and acting all wild and stuff. It's like, man, you doing this for the camera now, man.
Oh yeah,
already got 1 million followers and stuff on there anyway. I'm not sure who I'm rooting for in that fight, honestly. I probably just want to sit back and watch a good fight. Ryan Garcia is a social media star. I get tired of hearing Devin Haney's dad talk trash like he hopping in the ring. So styles make fights. Devin Haney is one of those grimy type, getting your grill type fighters. We know Ryan Garcia is more flashy with the, So I'm looking forward to that fight. It's April 20th, I believe it's going to take place. Just glad to see some of these top guys fighting each other still.
Right. Now I always defer to you and Nate on the boxing tip, but does Haney have Tank like power? Because when we all watched that fight together, and when Tank put them paws on Garcia, it was like, oh, he hit hard. Like, I got to pull back a little bit.
Devin Haney punches hard, but it's not like Tank. One hitter quitter.
Right.
Devin Haney will put a combination on you or a stiff shot, but Tank puts people to sleep.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was crazy because even though he didn't knock Garcia out, it was like when he hit him, he was like, "Ooh, when you get hit in football, you get that."
Oh, he did knock him out technically.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about he technically knocked him out, but what I'm saying is, that first initial punch he hit, that first initial hard punch he hit him with, and I said even when we was watching the fight, like, oh, he's timid now. He ain't doing the same thing. Like when you get that first hit in football, it's either you're gonna get up shaking your head, and you're gonna get up and like, all right, I don't know if I want to do this.
I think we all saw that. Like, man, he's gonna fight different right now.
Right.
I thought his whole game plan, as far as trying to rush and stand in front of Tank, was jacked up to begin with. But no, Devin Haney does not possess that one hitter quitter power necessarily, but he's more of a combination puncher. So, it depends. Is Ryan Garcia moving around, keeping his space, dictating, how things are going to be in the ring? Or does he allow Devin Haney to corner him and, cut off the ring? There's always that little, sweet science, as they call it, and styles make fights, as I mentioned before, that'll take place. Now, another one that I was saying we were supposed to be watching, this weekend is There's Only One Tyson Fury.
Right.
So he got cut in training,
Oh wow.
um, and they moved the fight later this spring. I think it's May
Okay. Okay.
that they, excuse me, moved it to. And I'm like, man, I really wanted to see him and Usyk get it on. Now the question I have is Tyson Fury really in shape, man? Because he don't have nothing to prove. My other guy, the bronze bomber. Y'all know I love Deontay Wilder to death, man. I've been a big fan of him his entire career. I was so happy to have an American heavyweight, champ again for the 5 years that we did. And again, I want to point out the fact that this man walked into a boxing gym at 19 years old, won a bronze medal in the Olympics, and became heavyweight champ of the world. It's nearly impossible. So,
Right.
regardless of what you think of his pure technical ability as a boxer, any of that, he's still a very talented fighter and athlete in general to be able to do that. But as I mentioned before, I've heard him start to make excuses and say, "Oh well, I've invested well and I got my money and this and this." And I'm like, when you start talking about that, champ, it's time to go ahead and give it up.
Yeah, you ain't got the fire for it no more, and that's fine. And some people, you get older, you reevaluate things, and even football
And he
players,
is 38 years old. You know what I mean? Maybe Father Time is catching up with him a little bit. But what I also didn't like is just like when he lost to Fury, it was, oh, he's got loaded, hand wraps and, had cement in his gloves. And that's why he did that. Now it's, he couldn't give Joe Parker his, credit. It was hard for him. I mean, he kind of did that night, but it was still like a borderline excuse. Now it's, I heard him say the other day, like, oh, it was a boring fight. He really didn't do much. I wasn't really motivated. I'm ready to fight whoever, now.
and that's one thing I like, man. Get that man his respect. He beat you, he beat you. But that's like you said, when there's somebody like Wilder, man, that he's super prideful. He ain't going. He can't. He don't know how to be like. He was the better. He was the better man, and it's fine. Sometimes that's the better man that night. You know.
Right. Well, that's hard for fighters, particularly in that moment, to come back
Mhm.
and admit. But that's what makes it so hard. Is now this is not just that moment. This is you reflecting, a couple months afterwards, and you can't
Mhm.
just say I lost or I didn't put in the same effort that I used to. You have to make excuses and say, oh, I was bored and this and that. Come on, champ, do better than that.
Got to be a man.
And
You got
you
to
cheated the box in public because by you losing, that destroyed what was already in place, the super fight between him and Anthony Joshua,
right.
which again at this point we'll probably never see.
Nope.
There's certainly no motivation for Anthony Joshua at this point to do it. Who's actually they're really going in different directions. Like Anthony Joshua is resurrecting his career. He's trying to get his belts back, one more time. And Deontay is kind of cruising towards, I would say, retirement
Oh
at
yeah.
this point, or
Oh yeah.
at least needs to be, because I definitely don't want to see him back in the ring taking right hands and not being the Deontay Wilder that I was used to and everybody else, either whether you were a fan or not. And let's be honest, them 3 wars that he had with Tyson Fury took something out of it.
Oh, for sure.
Might have took something out of both of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Fury, I know he said he underestimated, I can't even pronounce his name. Now he's fighting Anthony Joshua and Dagu or whatever. But it's like, okay, you underestimated him, champ, but you didn't look like you were in shape. You didn't look motivated. You looked a little surprised when he knocks you down, which I'm sure he
Mhm.
was. Um, this is not the sport for that,
Right. Nope.
at the end of the day. So I hope that whatever decision is made, the teams, the camps around them, give them the best advice going forward. I would prefer to see the Bronze Bomber go ahead and call it quits, but we'll see,
Right.
what happens. So, Big John, we covered a lot without the young homie Nate. Since he's not getting on here, I guess
Right.
I'll go on and do it anyway because I was gonna make this into a teaser clip and
Mhm.
post that for them. So for those that don't know, over the weekend, Nate proposed to his long-term girlfriend Amber,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes,
she
sir.
said yes,
Yes, sir.
and they are getting married. So, with all this hate in this world, man, that's just beautiful to still see that. And you can't replace that moment when a man gets on his knee and ask a woman to be his wife.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Beautiful thing, man. So congrats, Amber and Nate. And I'm definitely gonna post this as a teaser clip now to mess with both of y'all.
Right.
Um,
Right, man. I was there, man.
oh,
Oh shit!
Oh man, here,
and now
here
you
I
you
broke
go.
the
dropping,
damn thing. God
now
For
you
damn.
the for the
dropping stuff. So
your ears must have been burning.
Nah, I don't even know what was going on. I was
well, you just missed it, Nate, because we were getting ready to wrap up, but there's a few things that I want to talk about now that you are here. But I had just finished congratulating you and Miss Amber on your engagement. That was beautiful. I
appreciate it.
have to
Appreciate it.
apologize because for some reason I thought, and I did get your text message, brother. So I'm not making no excuse, but for whatever reason I thought it was this week. I didn't know it was this weekend. And by the time Big John it got all cool and and fly, I said, "Man, it's today." I was like, "Oh man, I ain't gonna make it." But no, seriously. And I am gonna repost this is a teaser clip because I think it's beautiful, man. When you find a woman, I know from what I go by that good book says a man who find a wife find it something special. And
Sure.
I know you and Amber have been together for a long time, man. So again, congrats, and I'm extremely happy for you, brother.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was a process. God sent you one, and they sent you one for a reason. So I found my one. So it was only right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, maybe the good Lord sent me something, too.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
We'll figure that out. Um, I know somebody special got me this comfortable Ohio State Buckeyes hoodie that I was sporting today. So I just leave it at that. But
Right.
you actually just missed the boxing talk, man. We were talking about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia and that
hmm
whole dust up at the press
Did y'all
conference.
see the other news today?
What's that?
Terrence Bud Crawford has accepted Canelo Alvarez's acceptance at 168.
Oh. Mm.
Yeah, it was on I think who posted it first? Somebody hip hop or something first posted it first, but then somebody else on the sports network posted it as well. So
Why you
it's
shaking
gonna
your
be
head?
interesting.
Because I wouldn't even be comfortable with Bud fighting him at 160
I
at
I
middleweight.
don't either. I don't
Now,
find that very comfortable at all.
if it was at 154 junior middleweight, I'd say yeah, I'll still roll with Bud. But you asking
hmm
him to jump two weight classes to super
Yeah,
middleweight at
two weight
168
classes ain't been
pounds?
too successful at all.
No.
Yeah,
Everybody that tries that usually ends up
never
getting
works out.
their ass whooped. I'll just say
Yeah,
that,
yeah, for
And
sure.
and then we talking about Canelo with
Yeah,
with
we're
dynamite in his
talking
fist,
about Raul.
uh,
Yeah,
elite boxing ability, and so does Bud. So I'm not acting like he don't have those things, but man, that's a lot of weight to have to put on, still maintain your speed, your power, your coordination,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
and then you fighting Canelo.
Yeah, you fighting Canelo. Yeah, that's the big thing. Also, Bivol is fighting Benitez. I don't
See,
think you
but
seen
he,
not
he
Benavidez, Benitez. The other one.
but Bivol, man, he's not entertaining, man. He's like watching, and I hate to say this, but he's like watching Timothy Bradley, man.
He is. He's
I mean, he
a
might get the
tat tat
job
tat, and
done,
then
but
he's a tat tat tat, and then a 1-2, and tat 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 tat, 1-2 1-2 1-2.
he would be
Maybe a
perfect
body
for the
shot,
Olympics.
huh?
I said he'd be perfect for the Olympics
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
with
Golden
that
Gloves type of
style.
situation. Yeah. But It's a lot of getting ready. This is going to be a lot of good matchups. I heard Tankin talks about another fight with somebody. So we'll see what's going
I'll
on.
take Tank.
We're going to have another special guest. She's say hi to the people.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi, Harmony.
got Miss Harmony in the building.
My flower girl. Here, go get on your tablet. Go ahead. I'll be in a minute.
So let me guess, Chase is the ring boy.
Yeah, he is the ring boy. He got his ass kicked at workouts today.
I bet he did.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Fat Cat and my cousin Street Seth. They work out the kids. They deal with it. And my cousin Seth actually has a girls basketball team. His daughter just had her last senior game.
That's not Seth from the hood, is it?
No. It's Seth Steele. No, he one
So
of
he was-
E-Dub's finest.
Who
Man, I
workout?
ain't seen, man. Me and Duke been looking for Seth for a minute, man. We ain't seen Seth.
I tell you, if
in
you
a
want to
couple
find
years.
Seth, not to get too far off topic, if you want to find Seth, hit Marcus Morton up.
Yeah. Marcus, yeah. I just was talking to Marcus today.
So he was at hoop workouts.
Yeah, he was at hoop workout. He got his ass kicked today.
Hey, bro, your son a football player, bro. That's a big boy.
Man, he don't want no parts of no football.
he may get older and
He a
and
gentle
learn
giant, man. That's really what it is. He really a gentle
Yeah,
giant.
Nate told me about that, man.
So yeah,
hey man, so was I.
He played for Northwest Knights too.
You gotta get that dog in him, man. That's it.
Man, he ain't an ounce of dog in him yet. So my dog ain't kick in until I was like 10 or 11. So I'm praying that's what happened to him as well.
I was too, man. But like sometimes.
Yeah, so hopefully the gentle giant stuff don't last long. We just basically teaching him the game and the understanding of basketball.
And you raised him to be a nice young man, so ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's all I can ask, man.
Make sure you take care of them shares from your brother Nate, man, because I know you hook that up all the time.
The who?
The shares. Sharing the video.
Yeah, for sure. I did that, and you ain't even know.
So backtracking a little bit, man, because you are a hoop guy. The very first thing that we opened up with is I asked Big John, but I asked you. So what's the answer for All-Star Weekend at this point? It seems to increasingly get worse, each year.
So I'm gonna go off of what Anthony Edwards said. Anthony Edwards said this is a break for all NBA players.
I just said that.
He said this is a break, and he was like, he said the only reason I'm gonna make the skills challenge interesting due to the fact, which was funny. He was like, I'm gonna shoot it all left-handed. So when guys got to do silly stuff just to make All-Star relevant and make it at least fun for themselves, that's bad. I think they might have to go back to the incentives. Give them an incentive. The All-Star team win. Whoever win, get a bag. Because that seems the only thing. That's the only thing that's motivating anybody anymore.
They already do that now. If we're talking about increasing, the bag, it's a slippery slope because I don't like it. Just like I didn't like the in-season, tournament. I got to pay you an extra $500 to do something that you're already getting paid quite well to do and should at least somewhat enjoy and want to do.
Right. But like I said, with these big contracts they keep getting every year, and the pay for basketball players is getting higher and higher. Now they may not catch baseball, but a lot of them guys, a lot of the all-stars, the guys that are in that game, they already getting the bag. They ain't worried about it. If they can rest, they can rest.
And your boy was whacked in the slam dunk contest.
Trash. Trash.
Jaylen Brown shouldn't be the highest paid NBA player anyway.
But the thing is, I give him credit for being an all-star and doing it. Because when was the last time he had an all-star that did it?
That I will applaud him for, not being too embarrassed or afraid to, go out there on that stage. And,
you know what I'm saying?
But there still needs to be some vetting. We talked about that. Like, you also can't just let anybody just do it, or that rookie from UCLA that played for
Mac done won 2 years in a row over everybody. And he's in the G League.
I don't even mind him winning if he put forth the dunks to do it, but
he does. His dunks was good. Don't get me wrong.
Make it competitive. Make it competitive.
Have another even in the NBA though. That's my problem. You had to let a G League player get in there, and they didn't even consider. They weren't messing with my man from the Knicks. His brother plays for the Pacers. I can't believe
Obi
slipping
Toppin.
my mind. Yeah, they weren't messing with Young Toppin's dunks at all. You know, in that, I thought he had some pretty impressive ones. But I told Big John, I think the main thing is when they took
We
it
had a
down.
good dunk competition since Aaron Gordon and Levine.
Well, that was the last great one for sure.
That was
I think when they took it down to 4 dunkers
I
instead of
think they need
the
to increase it back to 6. What was it, 6 or was it 8?
man, it was more than that. I think it was 8.
Ah, it was 10.
I thought it was like you said somewhere between 8 to 10.
It was 10. It was 10 at a point.
But
That
it's
was back
rushed
when
now. It's for
Jason Richardson
TV.
and them it was 10.
Yeah, that was the last time. Baron Davis, all of them were in that dunk contest. Um, Aaron Gordon and Zach Levine was the last like great one.
I think that
But
surpassed Dominique and Mike. That one surpassed Dominique and Mike, in my opinion.
It's up there. I don't know, but they're gonna have to find a way to get
Ain't
John
no
Morant.
creativity.
Hold on. They're gonna have to find a way to get John Morant and Zion to just do it. They're gonna have to
Big
find
John made a statement the other day that I totally did not agree with. He said that Tracy McGrady had a better dunk contest than Vince
I
Carter.
said Tracy McGrady and Steve Francis started off very well. I said Vince Carter ended it and won as he should have. I said, but Steve Francis and Tracy McGrady both put up some great dunks in that dunk contest. That's
It
all
was
I said.
just a different era, though. And like you said, under normal circumstances, T Mac or Steve Francis might have won the damn dunk contest if not for Vince Carter. But
But you know
Vince
what?
was the
What
last
that
of that era where he walked on the court and everybody knew.
everybody knew what it was.
Yeah, like
Everybody
when he
knew what it
said
was.
it's over.
Tracy
It's
McGrady said it too. He said, and he was like, somebody asked him like, so who really won? And they was like, Tracy McGrady looked at him like, come on, man, that man was a different level. He has dunks that are never before seen. That they remember. I don't know if y'all remember. There were clips of them playing at the University of North Carolina. I don't know if y'all ever seen it. Tracy McGrady said the stuff he did in that game was unreal. They say he did the 2-spin 360.
well, see
Yeah,
that
he
goes
said,
back to my whole point and what
yeah,
Kobe
it was a
said.
different level.
And what Kobe said, you know, you got guys that competed harder open gyms at UCLA with nobody around than they are in the All Star game in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Slam dunk contest, the All Star game. I'm gonna tell you where I'm at with it. You don't want to be in it,
Don't
go
go.
home.
Yeah.
Go home. You're not getting that bonus in your contract for being one. You know, next in line, because there's still a lot of guys in the NBA that would love to participate in All Star Weekend and be recognized for once in their career. Don't go.
But they ain't gonna do that because they want the love. Just like I forgot who said it, but it was an NFL analyst that was like, even with the Pro Bowl, the guys still want to be said, "Oh, I made the Pro Bowl. I'm a 5th-time Pro Bowl. I'm a 6th-time Pro Bowler." They want the notoriety. They want the notoriety, but they don't want to participate and compete. Like same with basketball players.
Want
I'm
the
pretty
baby,
sure.
but don't want the labor
Yeah,
pains,
like I
man.
said, it's gonna have. They're gonna have to get guys, like I said, the guys that want to compete, whether it be
You
Giannis.
know who I love and Pete and he competes every All-Star game? Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
it
been
was
an
a shame
All-Star
that he was
games. He
hurt
has
this
not
year.
competed.
But
Yeah,
like I said, we named a couple guys before you got on the air, whether it's Giannis, whether it's Embiid, whether it's guys like John Morant that want to prove I'm better than you. It has to be guys like that wants to get out there and compete, because now it's a glorified Harlem Globetrotter game. They just want to get out there, dunk, break
They want
away.
to
That's all
highlight.
it really is. They want a highlight reel.
and they started off playing defense, but I don't know that you can instill the type of competitiveness that we grew up watching our athletes have. Hell, the athletes come from different circumstances now. It's sort of like when you say, why does rap music sound different than when we grew up? Well, a lot of these guys ain't coming up the way that some of our rap stars, were, and the way the hood was back then, and seeing, parents struggling out, on drugs and, all type of stuff when you go outside. It's not built
They
like
ain't
that
go
no
through the
more.
Jada Kiss era. They ain't go through
No.
the Griselda and the what's our guys out of Detroit? Swab House type of thing.
Right.
T
We
Grizzly
didn't.
and the rest of them.
Yeah, we didn't. It's a different level now. It's privileged kids thinking they gangster.
You mean
I
like
had to.
T.I. son?
I ain't even go. I don't even tell y'all, but I had to give sort of a little motivational speech this past week to the players at SCPA because they had this kid. He was just cussing crazy, acting wild. Schroeder beat him real bad, but my boy Marion Graves, shout out to Marion. He's the head coach of SCPA. I had to give him the speech like, bro, this ain't gangster, bro. This ain't a gangster thing. Like y'all do all this stuff on the internet that don't mean nothing. There's real gangsters out here. There's real guys about that life. Y'all ain't none of this about y'all down here at SCPA. Y'all privileged kids.
Y'all acting.
Y'all acting.
Literally.
Y'all singing.
Literally.
Y'all playing instruments. Y'all
School of
artists.
Creative and Performing Arts.
Right.
I had to tell them like, man, stop trying to be tough, bro. If this ain't your, and then it became into like, bro, if you ain't respecting this man as a coach, at least respect the game. And I feel like it's a lot of kids out here that don't respect the sport no more, as far as basketball, baseball, football, soccer, any of that,
Nope.
track, any of that.
And another thing you pointed out, Al, about kids not growing up the same, but also they look at it now as just a hustle. We
Yeah.
love the game. Yeah, we wanted it to make money and make money and take our parents out the hood. We wanted all that stuff too, but we love what we did.
Yeah.
These kids look at it, oh, I'm good at basketball, I can make money.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they look
What
at
day
it. That's
they
how they look
say,
at it.
and I'll die for this shit.
Right. That's how
When
they.
was the
That's how they.
last time you heard a little boy say that, bro?
Yeah.
When was the last time you heard a little boy say that?
You're not
Right.
going to. I remember, playing for Madisonville Tigers, and particularly those of us that really care, Tone Bone, DJ Isaac, Matt,
Bill, older
yeah,
guys too.
yeah, all of them, Dave Watkins, Carl McMullen, Mark Knox, all of them. We cried when we lost.
Different
Like
level.
not I'm talking about boo
Boo
hooing,
hoo.
like
Yeah.
Bro.
angry tears, devastation.
Bro.
And we didn't lose that often,
Yeah.
with Tigers. It was maybe because Coach Lee, promised to take us out to any restaurant we wanted to go anytime we won. And if
Right.
we lost, we had to run
And
5
hell,
fun bunches, which if y'all don't know,
from
the old Stewart part, and Nate, this, we had to run
Yeah.
all the way around the perimeter of
All the
Stewart
way
Park with
around
the
the
little
perimeter.
9 and
Yep.
10-year-old legs we had at the time.
Mm-hmm. I
And then
remember
Coach
them
Lee hide
days.
behind the swimming pool, make sure you ain't walking.
Yep.
it's a different type feeling, man. Like you said, like I played, for Little Red Machine, and the 2 games I did lose, I cried both of them. But the crazy thing, even in high school, bro, I cried when we won. Just because I feel like I didn't play my best or I didn't give it my all or something happened. I
Yep.
cried when we won. When we played against Aiken and we won 6-0, I was crying. Bishop looked at me like I was crazy because I was just so mad because I love the game that much. Like, bro, we won.
Yeah, I
What
don't
you
think
worried
none of
about?
us was happy that game. I was actually on the
No.
news that game, and my dad had to point it out to me. He was like, "Man, you made the news today." I'm like,
Right.
we're
Forget
supposed to
that,
beat it.
Daddy. We look terrible.
I'm
Right.
like, we're supposed to beat Aiken more than 6-0 down there
But
in
that's
that
because
mosh pit.
we love the game and we respected it and we wanted to be good at it. Yeah, we wanted to go to college and get the accolades and do all that, but we actually love what we were doing.
Well,
And
we
now
talked
we're
about this before, Big John. I think actually earlier this week, me and you on the phone. Man, football, to a certain degree, and I love my parents to death, and I think they did a hell of a job. And I wouldn't trade neither one of them for nothing, or want to be raised by nobody else, even if I could do it again. But you can't guard your kids from every potential pitfall. especially the Madisonville that we grew up in. There was always somebody, some group of people doing something stupid that can derail your life. Um, Football stopped me from doing a lot. Yeah, so
For
did Big
sure.
Dave because I ain't want to have to go home and deal with that dude. But football, like, cause like you would have broke my heart. Like that would have been everything to me to get in trouble when they say, "Oh, you can't play, football no more. Or you
Yeah.
suspended
We
this week."
lost our mind
Like
when we heard that.
you can
You
take
can't
the
play in this
PlayStation
game.
cord,
What?
Dreamcast. I'd be salty, but you can't. That's like taking my breath away. Like you say, "Oh, you can't play football." I probably would have squared up on my dad
Right.
about that. I might have
Right.
lost, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
It's the same way with basketball. Then when they tell you, "Hey, you got to sit out this game," what? What do you mean? It's just kids
well,
don't
see,
even
and that's
care.
something else I'm not accustomed to, man.
I miss
Being as close to the
whatever.
Schroeder squad as I was this year and going to games and help, keeping the scorebooks for Will. Well,
Oh,
I
I got to
shouldn't
do
say
it
I'm
next
not
week.
used to
Shoot.
it because I was used to it at Purcell when I coached football, constantly arriving to practice and, oh, such and such is
Get
suspended
out my
this week.
shoes.
What?
Right.
Yeah, you ain't gonna have such and such on Friday. I'm like, how? Why? And it was something new each day.
Right.
Now, um, and I do want to shout out my Schroeder guys in a second, but they had a few guys that weren't able to finish, the season because of grades and other things. And the last game I was at, um, the all conference first team, all conference point guard, Zai Petaway, he had to sit out the first quarter or whatever. And I was messing with Will while I was at the score table. I said, "Hey man, where's my dude at, man? Where number one at?" He was like, "Man, it acted silly." So he was suspended for the first quarter. But I love Will for that though, because he's not a
Oh yeah,
win
he
it
ain't
all.
holding nobody's hand.
He's not a win at all cost head coach. He wants to run a clean program. I want to
Bro,
win.
he benched all three of them at the SCPA the first quarter.
Bruh.
That's
Because
fine, but I want to win.
bruh, he was got to remember, Will grew up in the same era as us, like going back to when we played, and I think it was the year Al, you had left. Speaking of Aiken again, me, Obadiah, Corey, Sean, Chris, we had to sit out the first half, and we barely won that game. If it wasn't for D'Angelo blocking a punt and Hawk running it back, we probably would have lost that game.
That
We
was
had to sit
the
out.
transfer back because I kept y'all
Yeah,
defensive stats that game, and I was
right.
so pissed off at y'all because it really did look like y'all were getting ready to lose that game. What were they up like 16-0 at one
Mm-hmm.
point? Yeah,
It took
and
2 touchdowns by Corey and a blocked punt for us to win that game.
and for the majority of the game, as Conwell said, the only thing that was working was the QB wedge with Dante Relaford.
Right.
It's like y'all was trying to mess that
Yeah, they were
game
trying to get
up.
that game away.
Well, you got to remember, like I said, me, Chris, Obadiah, Sean, and Corey had to sit out the first half.
Why you had
So
to sit out, John? Come on, tell us
it was
what
it
it
was
was.
no, everyone get in trouble in school. That's all it was. Doing dumb shit. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
y'all
what it
just
was.
I'm
that's
not
a
gonna put
silly
none of my
crew right
former
there.
teammates on blast, but that same year, because like I said, I couldn't play, the second half of the year after I transferred back from Nate's alma mater, so I had to sit in the stands and record, the stats. Um, there was another game when we played Dayton Jefferson where there were individuals that were suspended for the first quarter because they decided they didn't want to eat Chris Mama's spaghetti.
It wasn't my mama. It was God rest her soul. It was Mr. Chris Davis's mama. But yeah.
And they went and got Burger King instead, and Conwell lost it.
Yeah.
Now, and the crazy
What was
part about
wrong
that
with the
game,
spaghetti?
they said it was making them go to the bathroom, but
Well,
the
they
the,
needed to get cleaned out. They just needed to clean it.
the sick part about that game, and I'll go to my grave never understanding, John, you know what I'm getting ready to say. Because I'm going to nominate him for Schroeder Hall of Fame so he can get this award. What do they call it? Posthumously, when they've passed on. Corey Wilson, first
Mm.
1,000-yard rusher in Schroeder history, ran for, it has to still be a school record, 393 yards and 3 touchdowns, and we still lost by 2 touchdowns.
One reason,
Dude
because
was
God
amazing,
rest.
man. Dude was something
One,
different.
no, Corey was a dog, but one
RP to my
reason
brother, Calico.
one of them touchdowns happened, and I love him to death because that's my quarterback. Do a dang INT pick 6 to a goddamn defensive lineman. So that's one reason why we lost the damn game.
DJ didn't have his legs under in that game for a number of reasons. I won't get into that. I love you, DJ, my brother. You know,
no, that's my what Terrell said. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. I love that man, but
that's my dog. I didn't know this since I was 8 years old, so I'll just leave it at that. I said what I said.
Oh, we know why. We know why.
He wasn't ready to play that day.
No,
Right.
no, not at all.
That's after sitting out because he was one of the individuals that decided he wanted Burger King. So, and Conwell was on that mess because I don't think he put him in until midway second quarter. Like he was going to try to keep him out the entire first half, but getting behind on that scoreboard
that changed your mind a little bit.
Yeah, man. So, Nate, one of the other things we talked about before we wrap up is we talked about the Bengals and Tee Higgins, and I assured Who They Nation that they will have Tee Higgins for one more year.
That's it.
Because the Bengals are going to franchise tag him. He'll make between $18 to $22 million, however they negotiate that based on the top 10 salaries in that position, and that'll be it, man. So I just want people to be prepared for that. Yeah, that's how it's gonna go down.
Yeah, you're right. There ain't no argument with that.
So, and then we talked about Justin Fields and what the Chicago Bears should do. I asked John point blank. I said, "Man, what would you do if you were the GM of the Chicago Bears?" Everybody knows what I'm going to say, and no, it's not just because he went to but So, Nate, what would you do? Do you think Caleb Williams is the answer, Chicago?
No.
So you saw Merrill Hodges' video?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, he's not a savior. It'd be the second version of Justin Fields coming in there with that offensive line they got.
But like I said,
line is terrible, god awful.
But it's not even just the offensive line; it's the organization of the Bears. Period.
It's true.
At this point,
I give you that.
They're terrible. Any quarterback you draft, that is quarterback purgatory. They are going there to die. They will not survive.
You got to remember, only thing they do is run the ball. That's what they want to do. They want to run the ball. That's old gridiron Chicago Bears football. I'm running the ball first.
George Halas identity, it's always
still
been
there.
Defensive first.
But that's fine. It can be that, but you still have to facilitate some type of offense.
Well, you can do like the Ravens did. You can have that defensive first mentality, and you say, okay, I'm going to draft a Zay Flowers. I'm going to go out and get a Nelson Aguilar. I'm going to sign a OBJ to give my quarterback the weapons to, hopefully get him over the top. And that's what they don't do in Chicago. We talked about it earlier. I think the one time they did it is when they went out and they had Alshon Jeffries and Brandon Marshall paired with Jay Cutler's unpredictable self. When they tried to, and Matt Forte in the backfield, they tried to load up a little bit on offense. But other than that,
ain't seen it like that since.
Walter Payton. Even that team was heavily, on the defensive end while they won the championship.
So listen to my idea, y'all. I thought about this earlier. Why don't you get – I want to see Fields either in Tennessee or Atlanta.
The Atlanta,
I don't want to see him in the AFC. So
Atlanta, I can get. Tennessee, I don't know. Tennessee ain't got the infrastructure for him right now. Atlanta actually does, but Tennessee,
especially since they're getting ready to get rid of
Vrabel.
No, they already fired Vrabel.
They already fired him.
Vrabel.
They get ready to get Ritter out of there.
They get ready to get King Henry out of Tennessee. Ritter probably has seen his last days in Atlanta. But I don't want to see him in Pittsburgh. I don't want to see him in Tennessee.
No, I definitely don't want to see him in Pittsburgh, and they was promoting the hell out of that.
It's not going to happen, but I swear I think
I see Tannehill going to Pittsburgh.
I still think a good spot for Justin Fields would be the Raiders. I swear it would be.
I agree. That ain't bad either. Get him
Especially
out
since
there
they
with
still got
with Adams.
yeah.
Yeah, but they would have to keep that around him. They would have to keep Adams. I know Jacobs was talking
I
about
think
getting
Adams
up out
got
of there.
one more year.
Yeah, Jacobs wants to stay and play for the coach, but they also ain't trying to pay him, so he may bounce.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna
in
say
that running back position.
The Raiders don't want Jacobs. They almost got rid of him this past year. I'd be
Yeah, they
interested
did.
to see where Saquon Barkley ends up.
But dumb question: why don't they want Jacobs? He's good. He's been
Inconsistent. He's inconsistent.
But
He had that great
well,
year prior.
he gets injured
Prior
a
to
lot. I
that,
get
he's
that.
been
He
very
gets injured a lot.
He
inconsistent.
But
does
like,
get
but
injured a lot.
what did Q say? Like it or not, I'm the best nigga you got. He was.
It's the market value of running backs, and you know how they do that.
Yeah.
We had Dalvin Cook, Zeke, Kareem Hunt all sitting out, the majority of the offseason still looking for new homes. Neither one of them was older than 28 years old.
Did you see that info about us being on his list of teams, Saquon's?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen,
Yeah, I
but
know. I just wanted to say.
the team they were talking about, it would make sense, but they would have to do some restructuring and move some people like Dak Prescott's contract. Is what if they did that and added Saquon Barkley to that organization?
I just don't see him in Dallas. I'm sorry, I don't.
It's a perfect fit, though.
It is a perfect fit, but I just don't see him. I don't see
Jerry got the money to make it happen.
Jerry got the money, but I don't. I got a feeling somebody ain't gonna pull the.
But I told
somebody ain't gonna pull
everybody
the trigger.
who was talking about my man that was down there, who was the running back for Dallas last year. I got to quit drinking this stuff and having these brain
Pollard.
farts. Yes, Tony Pollard was not an every down back.
No, he's
You
not.
can just being a football guy, you can tell he's not an every down back.
No, he's not.
They
He's
just
a first and a second.
They just
First
tried to
and a
move.
second.
They just tried to move away from Zeke, and that he was the next
And
person
all
up.
them casual fans took the debate, just like these fake Bengals fans here that thought that Samaje P. Ryan was the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm like, what am I missing that the rest of y'all are seeing? And I don't even go after guys like that individually, but I'm like, I don't see it. It's the fascination. The most popular guy in town, they say, is always the backup until he gets in there. Because
That's
we
just
had some
like
people, and I won't say who they are, was saying stuff like, "Oh, Jake Browning is better than Joe Burrow," and I'm like,
Come on.
blasphemy.
people just be
Blasphemy.
talking, just like the whole Samaje P. Ryan thing, or when Andy Dalton went down, your boy McCarron. Like it's always something. Shut up. They're backups for a
There's
reason.
a reason he went number one in the draft.
Let them be backups. They backups for a reason. I'm not saying certain backups can't be starters, but that ain't the case all the time.
It's not that many.
So Al, let me ask you this: is it true Browning getting looked at by other teams?
Yeah, but the way it's set up, the Bengals are going to be able to hold on to him for another year. It would take a great trade proposal or something for the Bengals to move on. See, AJ McCarron just went back to the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL.
Yes, sir. I've seen that.
So the Bengals are going to want to keep a guy like Browner, who proved that he can do what a backup is supposed to do: get you out of the stadium. And what I told people last year who really wanted to know how good he was, as Big John will tell me about other things in life, he's somewhere in the middle. He ain't quite with his best game show, and he ain't quite with his worst game show. He's right there in the middle.
How many road wins did Browning get last year? 2.
Well, I know one of them was that Monday night game.
Yeah, in Jacksonville. That was
Jacksonville. That was pretty good.
That was a key one too, at the time.
So, I know the other question that we brought up was we discussed what some of the national media has now caught on with. Stephen A. Your boy Skip Bayless have admitted that Joe Burrow is the only serious threat to the Patrick Mahomes, dynasty.
Why did it
Now,
take this long?
because it's the Bengals. We all said this, and especially me. I was saying before last year. I said if it don't begin and end with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, I don't want to hear it. And you have Chiefs fans that say, "Yeah, but Mahomes has them rings," and he does. And we need to keep Joe healthy and not let the bottom fall out, so we could at least get one or two, and he can Eli Manning his way through his career. But he's 5-1 against the likes of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. But like I said, the Bengals have to keep a team around him. They have to keep advancing. They cannot get
Stagnant.
still. Yeah, they can't. They got to keep going.
Yeah. So again, we want to congratulate Brother Nate and Miss Amber on their union to come.
Baby, they said
Have you-
congratulations. She said thank you, yeah.
Have y'all decided on a date?
We're getting married September 20th, 2025. Come here, flower girl. You gotta turn that down.
September 20th.
You hear this
Okay.
tablet? It's loud. Oh, you gotta turn it down. Why is it so loud? They trying to tell you hi, tell you bye bye.
Well,
Say bye-bye.
I'll be there regardless whether I'm in it or just there, whatever the case is.
I'm not gonna turn it off, okay?
Now you brothers that keep scheduling these, look at you fumble. You brothers that keep scheduling these weddings during football season are amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
wedding was
this is Saturday, so this just college football. It's a 1 week in college
I
football.
watch college football more than I watch NFL football, but my wedding was in the summer during COVID, so you ain't missing no football.
I don't know how you did some nonsense, Big John. We was all
Yeah, I
right.
was mad at you about that too. I'm like, bro, you can't wait till
It
the
was hot.
pandemic over.
We had
Like,
3-piece suits and it's blazing outside.
Hey,
I had that Bengal mask on and I couldn't breathe.
right.
So we want everybody to continue to tune in. Please check out the social media platforms because leading up to the 25th of this month, celebrating the anniversary of a young catcher, Marcellus Clay, defeating Sonny Liston to become heavyweight champ at 22 years old. I still have more in the clip. I still have more videos that are going to be coming out highlighting that and paying homage to the champ, sports history, Black history, whatever you want to call it. Getting the Facebook page ramped back up. So the audio will be uploaded to Spotify and Apple Podcasts since they're the only ones that stay in existence now. This is available on YouTube, Facebook. Please share these links. Let the people know. It takes 2 seconds, man, to press a button and press like. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in as usual. Now that basketball season is wrapping up, I know that some of the guests that I have on deck will be available to come in. We'll get back in the studio with Brother X over there at Timeless and try to really get things going in season 4. So,
shoot, I gotta get with X this weekend. I'm tripping.
You gotta get with him tell the people what it's called.
Men versus Truth versus Women podcast. I know everybody be struggling like men and women and truth. It's Men versus Truth versus Women podcast.
So for everybody that loves the relationship talk and just not just that, expressing men and women point of views on
mental health,
and creating some healthy dialogue. That is your platform to check in and support Brother Nate. So it's your host, I am Farrell, checking out with the Brown Bruce Wayne Big John.
Yes, sir.
We are West the best, Nate.
You know
we do it better next time.